about some weapon. I just saw something, and everyone needs to go check this out on the YouTube. It's look up HAARP rains down fire on Iran. After you see this, it should scare you, because the HAARP is going to be used for a lot more other things, including, in my mind, if you accept that microchip and you decide you don't want to go along with what's going on, or you speak out against the Fuhrer, you have to watch the end of this video to see what happened. There are 150-some dolphins and whales that washed up on the shore that were cooked. They weren't just dead. They were pitch black.
No, I saw that report. Absolutely. They've got all sorts of super weapons. I appreciate your call, Scott. Let's talk to Chris in California. You're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Hello, Alex. I served as an enlisted Marine and later as an officer and aviator in the Air Force. I want to hit two issues really quick here. That survey, the Marine Corps 29-Palm survey of 1994 by Lieutenant Commander Ernest Guy Cunningham, where they would ask the Marines if they'd turn their, amongst other questions, they basically asked them if they'd turn their guns on the American people. Okay, that survey allegedly came out in 1994. Back in 1988, some fellow officers in my squadron, I was walking by the one of the hangars, and they came up. They knew I was a prior enlisted Marine. They came up and started saying, "Hey, did you hear about that survey that they're asking in 29 Palms about turning your guns on the American people?" I said, "You're full of crap," and I thought they were just ragging on me for being a prior Marine. Well, I started looking it up back even in the late 80s, and I saw that there was that they were actually questioning people. So this survey was out before this Cunningham allegedly came out with it back in 1994. So recently we went to the Edwards Air Force Air Base air show. It was an hour and 45-minute drive through the base to go about a mile and a half. About every 50 yards they had officers, enlisted people, Army, Marine Corps, and Air Force personnel with submachine guns, MP5s, and CAR-15s standing there while you're going through. I even asked one officer, I go, "Are you a real officer?" And he said, he was a first lieutenant. He said, "Yeah." I go, "You aren't ROTC or anything?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, I'm a real officer." I go, "Well, what are you directing traffic for?" Because I know never before did I ever see officers out directing traffic during events or otherwise.
Well, I want to be clear with you. I want to be clear with you. That's how this beta testing is working, going back 8-9 years in rural areas of Alabama and Texas. We have the videos and photos. Some of it's in police state, 911 Rise of the Police State. And it showed babies having their bags searched by State Guard and National Guard. And now they've had Marines in California, not at the border where they're needed, but just searching people at highway checkpoints with sidearms. And I've been in New York, videotaped National Guard with 45s on their side across the street. It's in Endgame, and they run screaming and cussing in my face. I'm the enemy. Ah, American slave with camera. Ah! And they just run it, and I just scream back at the guy, and he's like, "Whoa, the slave isn't backing down." So they flipped out and ran screaming into a van. But, I mean, these guys could barely even talk. They were just, like, mindless, all just running around enjoying themselves with guns on their hips. And it's all just to acclimate you. Then the TSA is to acclimate you to line up. And the Kentucky Derby every year now for 9 years, they have checkpoints there. They don't use regular security when folks jump on the field after the race. That was always something that people did as a pastime. Now they have armed military run-up with guns because the image is they could be a terrorist. So everybody watching at the NFL, the Kentucky Derby, any event, military, military, military. And now they admit the John Warren Defense Authorization Act. They admit in the Ottawa Citizen article in Canada, they've got a deal to use foreign troops. Not only will troops be used, foreign troops officially training. I mean, this is total tyranny. And they're trying to get away with it, and they're gearing up for the big terror attack they're going to launch next week, 2 years from now, we don't know. When they nuke a city or release a bioweapon, they're going to pour in foreign troops. They're going to march around lining us up and killing us.
If you're concerned about radiation poisoning from Japan in the air, water, or food and can't find potassium iodide, go to restoreyourhealthnow.com and choose Liquid Zeolite. Liquid Zeolite is hands down the best product to remove radiation from your body and safely removes toxins, heavy metals, boosts energy levels, and promotes a strong immune system. For fatigue, muscle weakness, headaches, memory loss, influenza, joint pain, or toxic radiation poisoning, use Liquid Zeolite from RestoreYourHealthNow.com. Liquid Zeolite is so powerful it was used to clean up contamination in Chernobyl, yet so gentle you won't even know you're taking it. Liquid Zeolite comes with a money-back guarantee, but is only available at RestoreYourHealthNow.com. Learn how to get free bottles of Liquid Zeolite at RestoreYourHealthNow.com. That's RestoreYourHealthNow.com, or call 800-880-9976. Call 800-880-9976 today and learn how to get free bottles of Liquid Zeolite.
Alex Jones here with key information. The U.S. government is a Ponzi scheme that relies on the Treasury continuously selling large amounts of government bonds to foreign central banks. With Japan about to become a seller of U.S. bonds in order to rebuild its own nation, and the U.S. antagonizing China by calling them currency manipulators, the Federal Reserve, which is already buying about 70% of U.S. Treasuries, will soon be the only buyer left of U.S. Treasuries. Our friends at the National Inflation Association believe that the U.S. dollar will soon become worthless, and Americans will see the purchasing power of their incomes and savings destroyed. I strongly urge my fellow Americans to sign up for the free NIA newsletter at www.inflation.us. If you are sick and tired of the economic propaganda in the mainstream media, sign up for free at inflation.us to learn the economic truth that the mainstream media ignores.
Spring and a new growing season are here. Plan a healthy garden easy and fast with Organicaseed.com. Easy because Organicaseed.com offers one of the largest online selections of organic, heirloom, non-hybrid, and untreated seeds, as well as tobacco and cotton seeds at low prices. Go to Organicaseed.com, spelled O-R-G-A-N-I-C-A, seed.com. Organicaseed.com. Remember, Organica Seed is healthy seed.
Hi, this is Ted Anderson. Have you ever wondered why banks, stockbrokers, investment advisors won't talk about gold IRAs? They've been available since 1986, yet the financial industry won't recognize the value of gold for your retirement. Gold has outperformed paper investments, yet no word about IRAs. If you would like to have gold for your retirement, call 800-686-2237. Don't get left behind by rising inflation and low returns. Call 800-686-2237. Secure your future and call 1-800-686-2237.
You know, we've been taught we're supposed to be half-hearted and apologize to the government when we criticize it. No, the government from the top is run by a bunch of hardcore crooks who competed with each other to get up there into the positions of power. And they're destroying our way of life. They're getting rid of that hedge of protection, due process, Constitution, Bill of Rights, Declaration of Independence, and trying to forge us into this corrupt empire. In fact, I've rarely seen empires this evil. I mean, this is an evil, evil bunch. And Obama comes and goes, Bush comes and goes. The evil just continues. I'm going to do 5 minutes into overdrive so I can guarantee to at least get to these 4 calls. Randy, Adam, Frank, Kevin, and others. Or at least those 4. Let's talk to Kevin. No, Frank. Well, where's the caller from Japan? Did they just hang up? No, there's the caller. Adam in Japan, who's in the military. What's your view on now everywhere has to have TSA trained people with hands down the pants to keep us safe? This idea of omnipresent security, it has a name, martial law.
Yes, Alex, I'm very aware of martial law. In fact, in my unit, well, I just need to tell you briefly that 2 weeks ago, I knew that something was up because my entire department, we signed release statements stating that we would not reveal any secret or classified documents from NATO forces, not U.S. forces, NATO forces. So if we were to come across any classified or secret material, we were to treat it just like we would treat U.S. forces classified or secret material. And that rang a bell in my head. It's like, why are we signing this? Why are we getting this briefing? And then a few days later, of course, the president comes out with the announcement about Osama bin Laden. Things are pretty scary.
Are your colleagues starting to smell something?
You know, I think they understand that everything that's happened in the past few weeks, it's just too much coincidence, you know, and I have been talking to them about everything and about all the psyop that's been going on, and I think some of them are actually starting to wake up. You know, they see things. It's just too much of a coincidence. Well,
here's what you tell them. It's now admitted that most of the money in the bailout went to private offshore banks, and that those very groups then paid money to our so-called media. That's treason, okay? The government got bought off. We're being robbed, and they better really get it burned into their head that traitors run the government. I mean, that's a pretty simple thing to understand, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I understand it very well, in fact.
So, obviously, because you've signed those agreements, of course, they have people sign agreements that when DynCorp and Halliburton are kidnapping kids, they can't talk. But you know, those agreements are null and void, or they will come put a bullet in your head. I mean, all the military I know, the family I know, they say, yeah, they're training every unit of every armed services branch for civil unrest. I mean, is that what you're talking about?
Well, every training day that we have, we briefly go over martial law and what it is, and the Posse Comitatus Act, and we're very familiar with the fact that Posse Comitatus is suspended during martial law.
And so they explain to you, now, Posse Comitatus is suspended during martial law, boys and girls.
Right.
And so they go, so it's a legal order. And then what type of terrorist? Are you trying to take on guys with turbans? Or it's just whoever doesn't lick boots, right?
You know, pretty much the military has a loose definition of what a terrorist is. It can pretty much be anybody that is making a general threat against a military installation.
Yeah. I know my guys at G20 just tried to talk to the military, went to the public information officer, and then suddenly the police were coming saying, you're trying to blow up the military. And we're like, we had it all on video. It's in Police State 4, The Rise of FEMA. Anything else? So what percentage of your comrades aren't buying this bin Laden hoax? Just off the top of your head. Stay there.
Thank you for listening to GCN. Visit GCNlive.com today.
Hundreds of nations have fallen to tyranny in the last century alone. This is our last chance to not relive history.
As we're finishing off this agenda, they'll be pulling the rug from underneath Americans at home.
They have tremendous influence on our president and Congress, and they really are calling the shots.
I think it's incumbent upon all of us as American citizens to pay attention.
Fall of the Republic identifies the enemies of our nation, the criminal offshore cartel, hell-bent on destroying sovereignty, and on its ashes constructing world government.
Tim Geithner, Bernanke, they're arsonists. They're asking for more matches. And the Congress is saying, who do we make the check out to?
Today, it seems like nobody does care. And right now in Washington, D.C., we have seen a fall of the Republic.
Get your copy of Fall of the Republic on DVD at Infowars.com or watch it online right now in super high quality at prisonplanet.tv.
Coast to coast, direct from Austin. You're listening to the Alex Jones Broadcasting Network.
Folks, tyranny's being brought in to destroy our liberties and our freedom and our wealth. You just better get that straight. These globalists, you think they hate Iraqis? They really hate Americans. They hate anybody who's got guns and isn't their slave. And they'll play brown people off against white people, vice versa. These globalists are cold-blooded psychological warfare masters. And I want to go to Randy and Frank and Kevin if we have time. But Adam, you're out there in Japan with the military doing martial law drills off and on, getting you ready for that, how great it is. What percentage of the guys you talk to aren't buying this PR rollout, ever-changing story of the bin Laden fable?
I would say about 50% or about half of my department doesn't really believe what the government's saying about the whole bin Laden hoax right now. And they're questioning things, and I'm talking to them about it more and more, and just bringing to the forefront all the information that you've been giving out. and they're reacting. Actually, they're starting to more and more see, and then they're starting to question more and more now about, well, if there was a bin Laden hoax. And then,
they need to know this. When there's a Republican in a few years, they may even wait, and a mushroom cloud goes